Today we will introduce the growth pole theory of French economist François Perrow. The lecture will be divided into 3 parts: the background and presentation of the theory, the basic content of the theory, and the practical application of the theory. First of all, let's look at the background of this theory. The theory was originally proposed by the French economist François Perrow. In the 1950s, a time when people were confused about the uncoordinated economic growth and social development of some newly independent countries after World War II. Although many people at the time already believed that it was not appropriate to use national income growth as a total indicator to measure the results of the economic plan, there was no clear distinction between the meaning of growth and development. Exactly against such a backdrop, inspired by modern system science and modern physics, the second law of thermodynamics, Perrow proposed the growth pole theory, derived from the economic model of Gustav Cassell's economic model of a balanced growth with a fixed exchange rate system, supporting the stability of the international trade, and the balanced growth theory represented by the business cycle theory, constructed by Joseph Schumpeter. He advocated arranging economic plans by a non-aggregate method, decomposing the national economy into departments, industries, and engineering projects according to geographic size, establishing and developing growth poles, and boosting the growth of the entire national economy with growth of poles. Next is the basic content of the theory. The growth pole theory put forward by the French economist Perrow in 1950 is believed to be the cornerstone of the economic regional concept in Western regional economics and one of the fundamentals of the unbalanced development theory. The theory of growth pole states that it is only an ideal for a country to achieve uniform development. In reality, it's impossible. Economic growth is usually gradually spreading via one or several growth centers to other sectors or regions. Therefore, a specific geographic space should be selected as the growth pole to drive economic development. So, what are the basics of a growth pole? 1. The geographical space is a city of a certain scale. 2. There must be a leading industrial sector that is propelling and a continuously expanding industrial complex. 3. With spreading and backflow effects. With a general understanding of this theoretical content, let's continue to analyze its elements. The growth pole system has 3 levels: growth of core industries, industrial complex and its growth, growth of the growth poles, and national economic growth. Within this theoretical framework, economic growth is considered to be a system that progresses from point to plane, from part to whole, and organically connected. Its material carriers or manifestations include various types of towns, industries, departments, new industrial parks, and economic cooperation zones. The growth pole will form 2 effects to exert its own radial effects. According to growth poles theory, the growth pole is a propulsive business unit, a company, industry, or a set of these units. This type of units combines with the surrounding economic environment and exerts irreversible or partially irreversible effects on the other propelled units, resulting in a dominant effect. Perrow divided the growth pole into 2 categories. One is the manufacturer or company, and the other is the industry. What they have in common is innovation. Though in a completely competitive environment, the pursuit of profit maximization is the common goal of all economic units. But only innovation is the fundamental way to maximize profits. Innovation introduces different or forced-in variables into the economic visions and plans of an active agent and a group of agents. It has an unstable effect. Therefore, Not all manufacturers and industries are innovative. Only successful innovative manufacturers and leading industries have the role of dominating and propelling other manufacturers and industries in a certain economic space, resulting in a dominant effect and a spread effect. Perot held the view that the dominant effect benefits the return and aggregation of various production factors to the growth pole. The spread effect promotes the spreading of various production factors from the growth pole to the surrounding undeveloped areas. At the initial stage of development, the dominant effect is the main force. When the growth pole reaches a certain level of development, the dominant effect is weakening, while the spread effect is strengthening. The growth pole effect is a complex of multiple effects, such as upstream and downstream effects, agglomeration effects, and mutually beneficial effects. Next, allow me to introduce the conditions for the existence of the growth pole. 1. There are business groups and entrepreneur groups with the innovation capability in an area. This is actually a reflection of Joseph Schumpeter's innovation theory. That is, creativity and innovation are the meta-power of economic development, rather than simple investment or consumption. It must possess economies of scale. That is, a region that intends to grow into a growth center needs to have a considerable scale of capital, technologies, and talent reserve, through continuous investment to expand the economic scale, improve technical level, and economic efficiency, thus forming economies of scale. It is necessary to have an external environment suitable for the innovative development of the economy and talents, which includes not only convenient transportation, good infrastructure, and other hard infrastructure, but also the soft environment, like efficient government operations, appropriate economic policies, laws to ensure fair competition in the market, as well as talent introduction and training. In general, Perot's growth pole theory still has two flaws. One is to overemphasize the positive effects of the development pole, neglecting its negative effect. The second is to build the development pole on the basis of an abstract economic space. Later on, the Swedish economist Carl Gunnar Myrdal, the American economist A. O. Hirschman, and French economist J. B. Baudeville made up for these two shortcomings. After an introduction of the basic content of the theory, we will now get to know the practical application of this theory in reality. First, we'll see what Brazil has done during the period of economic development in southeastern region. Various incentives were adopted to stimulate economic growth in backward areas such as the Amazon River Basin, such as relocating the capital from prosperous Rio de Janeiro to backward Brasilia, building a highway system that runs through the Amazon Basin, encouraging people to migrate to backward areas, at the same time attaching importance to the self-development capabilities of backward areas, opening up new industrial areas, and using preferential policies to attract foreign investment and opening up free trade zones in the inland. With the support of government policies, the Manaus Free Port, located in the middle of the Amazon River, has become the largest special economic zone in Brazil, and even in the world. It is used as a growth pole and a radial center to boost the economic development of central and western Brazil, effectively driving the economic development of the surrounding areas. Next, take a look at Shanghai Pudong New Area in eastern China. The fundamental purpose of the central government is to establish experimental zones for comprehensive reforms, is not only for the development of the new area itself or the city in which it is located, but more importantly, it is to promote the economic development of the urban agglomeration and even a wider area. thus exploring the formation of a new regional development model. Since the establishment of Pudong New Area, it has made rapid progress in economic development and achieved the world-renowned achievements. For instance, the GDP of Pudong New Area increased from 6 billion yuan in 1990 to 593 billion yuan in 2012, after merging Nanhui District. Pudong area accounts for more than 1/4 of Shanghai's GDP. The cities in the Yangtze River Delta are relatively close, tightly linked by high-speed rail, highways, and water transportation. With the opening of Shanghai-Nanjing High-Speed Railway, Shanghai-Hangzhou High-Speed Railway, and Beijing-Shanghai High-Speed Railway, the fastest travel time from Shanghai to Nanjing, Hangzhou, and Suzhou are 1 hour 7 minutes, 1 hour 2 minutes, and 24 minutes respectively. The high-speed railway brings not only the convenience of shortening of time for traveling, but also provides the conditions for exchanges and cooperation between cities in the Yangtze River Delta. In terms of tourism, the tourism departments in cities along the Yangtze River Delta co-organized the 2003 Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Shanghai Tourism Year and held the Yangtze River Delta Tourism Fair, while Xitang, Wuzhen, Zhouzhuang, and Zhujiajiao jointly launched the China Jiangnan Ancient Town Tour. In 2010, the World Expo Yangtze River Delta Tourism Cooperation Coordination Committee was established to take advantage of the Shanghai World Expo as an opportunity to deepen tourism cooperation in the Yangtze River Delta and drive the development of surrounding cities. That's all for today's lecture. Thank you all.